Hey everybody, welcome back to Beyond the Lines Coloring Podcast. I'm your host, Color Mama 360, and we are back for episode 3. I am so excited because I have my first ever podcast guest coming on today to answer some fun questions about their coloring journey, their channel, and just some fun general questions that I wanted to know the answers to, and I hope you guys will as well. So before we jump over to that interview, I just wanted to go over some coloring news. First off, I wanted to revisit something that I talked about last episode. So, Jazzy Doodle Designs, who does multiple full book collaborations, those collaborations happen every month and a half. I just want to clarify that because I think on the past episode I may have said every month or something like that. So, I just want to clarify those happen every month and a half. The best way to get involved in those and to have a say or be able to vote on the next book is to make sure to subscribe to her over on YouTube and join her Facebook group, Jazzy Doodle Designs Coloring Community. It also sounds like the Facebook group has a lot of other great community elements. You can share pages, get advice, things like that. So if you have Facebook, I really recommend that, even if you're not necessarily looking to participate in a full book collaboration. I also wanted to touch on something real fast. If you are subscribed to my channel or have listened / watched my content before, you will know that earlier this week, while on my lunch break, I stumbled into a Barnes & Noble. Okay, maybe not stumbled, but I walked into a Barnes & Noble, not really anticipating anything, and I ended up finding the mythographic Alice in Wonderland book on the shelf a whole week before it was set to be released. Now, this sparked a lot of questions. I ended up doing a flip through on the channel, and a lot of people had questions, and even I was wondering, was this an accident? Did this get put on the shelf just by accident? And I was able to purchase it. And so I did a little bit of digging, and I had some other people who did a little bit of digging on their end too. I'm not going to say their names because I didn't ask if that was okay. But on my end, I did find a good sort of paragraph that I think just kind of sums up what exactly happened. So I wanted to read that to you guys. And this is just about Barnes & Noble specifically. So Barnes & Noble often places physical books on store shelves before the official release date, provided the publisher has not enforced a strict on sale or SOS embargo. However, if a book has a strict on sale date, the register system will prevent the sale even if it's on the floor. So in the case of the mythographic Alice in Wonderland, this is what happened. It did not have an SOS embargo. Therefore, I was able to purchase it when I went up to the register. So I think this is something just to keep in mind. Like if there is a book you're really anticipating, you may sometimes be able to find it at Barnes & Noble prior to the release date. Now, in my case, this book was not necessarily on my radar. I'd heard about it. I'd heard a lot of people were excited for it, but I don't have a lot of mythographics and I haven't colored in the one that I have. And so I'm not like a huge Alice in Wonderland fan. It just wasn't necessarily on my radar. But when I flipped through this book in that store, I was absolutely just amazed. I think the artwork is incredible, and so I did end up purchasing it. But I wanted to revisit this just so that you guys know that that was kind of what happened. It wasn't that it was put on the shelf accidentally. It's just that there are times when Barnes & Noble does place books on the shelf if there is not an SOS embargo. So just wanted to quickly revisit that. And then I also wanted to talk about something that I have coming up on my channel, which is Milestone Month, Color Mama 360 Celebration. This is a whole month-long celebration that I'm doing to celebrate not only 1 year on YouTube, but also back in May, I hit 1,000 subscribers. And so I decided to combine those two milestones into one big long celebration in the month of July. Now I'm going to be doing some fun content on my channel, some extended live streams, so longer than I normally do, as well as like kind of themed live streams, I guess you could say. I'm also going to be doing a giveaway, which is lining up with the end of the book battle. So those two are kind of going together. We'll have the book battle finale and a giveaway. And then I'm also going to be doing just some reflective content looking back on the past year and a Q&A on the podcast. If you want more information about what is being released when or what is scheduled for when, I will post a little schedule up on both my Instagram and my YouTube so that you can see the dates and all of the information on that. All right, and then I also wanted to mention the Mythographic Collective group. Now, I probably should have talked about this when I was talking about the Mythographic, but This group, I'm not sure if I mentioned it previously, but I just wanted to revisit it real fast because it is a new group that I joined. And so, just in case I haven't mentioned it before, it is run by Lauren Reed Color, and I believe Colorful Mother of Three is who does it with her. Sorry if that's not correct, but I'm pretty sure that's who does it with her. And they've already chosen the book for July. The thing that I'm loving about this group so far, not that I've colored a page with them yet, but what I really like as far as the setup goes is they don't just choose a book and a page from that book. They also have sort of scavenger hunt prompts. And so that's going to be really useful for me since I only have 3 mythographics. I can color in one of my mythographics that I do have by finding one of the scavenger hunt prompts. So I just wanted to mention that group in case that is of interest to anybody. And then along those lines, the light versus dark hashtag is continuing in the month of July. That's hosted by Hollyberry Colors and Piggy Pens, and the theme for July is Predators versus Prey. So that's a super fun theme, and I just wanted to make sure that I got that on your guys' radar while you're starting to make your July plans. Okay, everybody. Well, like I said, I have a really amazing guest, so I'm going to go ahead and introduce our first ever guest on Beyond the Lines Coloring Podcast. All right, everybody. I am so excited to welcome today's guest, who is someone I'm sure you all know and follow over on YouTube and Instagram. She is a true pillar of the adult coloring community, famous not only for her fantastic first impressions of new books, but also for the absolutely crazy amount of pages she completes every single month. She's everyone's go-to partner for a buddy color, and her channel has become a daily staple for so many of us. Please welcome to the podcast, Jess, aka Coloring.bumblebee. Welcome to the
Hello,
podcast, Jess.
hello everyone. Thanks for having me on. I'm honored to be your first guest.
I am so excited. I could not have asked for a better first guest. So, thank you so much for being willing to come and kind of be my little guinea pig. And yeah, I'm so excited to jump into it.
Yeah, me too.
So, let's just start with kind of a synopsis of how did you start coloring?
It kind of happened on me kind of randomly. I was really feeling the need for a creative. I've always been quite creative with my hobbies. I used to do bullet journaling before I started coloring and did that whilst I was at uni, came home from uni and finished that. And I just felt like this hole in my life because I had nothing to plan for. I wasn't doing anything, so I was like, I don't need to journal. But I still have this creative sort of desire, and it just kind of happened. Like the universe pointed me in the right direction. I think I was browsing Amazon one night for something, and a Johanna Basford came up, and I thought, oh, maybe. And then I went to a shop in the UK, B&M, and I saw a Johanna Basford book, Magical Jungle, for £5. I thought, wow, if it doesn't work out, it's only £5. And yeah, got home, coloured my first page, and the rest is history pretty much.
I love that. I think a lot of people started with Johanna Basford for sure. I feel like her books, at least here in the US, were a lot more readily available than other
Yeah,
books. What
yeah.
is it like over there in the UK? Are they in shops and things like that?
We don't really have that many colouring books in shops in the UK, but Johanna Basford is like the one that you can almost guarantee to find. If a shop sells colouring books, there's going to be a Johanna Basford there. That's like a guarantee, which makes sense as she is based in the UK and is probably the biggest colouring book artist out there, like the most successful.
For sure. Yeah, that's about the same here. If there's going to be a shop that sells coloring books, it's probably going to have a Johanna Basford.
Yeah.
All right. So take me back to kind of how you went from just coloring in general to starting your channel.
It took me quite a while. I mean, if you asked me 5 years ago, would I have a YouTube channel today? I would have been like, not a chance. I'm very much an introvert. I'm quite an anxious person. I don't like putting myself out there. There's a reason I haven't shown my face on the internet, and that is mainly why. But I had a Instagram account, and I've been loving posting on there and interacting with people on there. And I think having a YouTube channel was just like the next natural progression for me. I made friends with other people with channels, chatting with them, buddy coloring with them, and I was like, I want to get involved. This looks like so much fun, and I'm so glad I did. And again, it was just something. Just one day, I just decided, okay, I'm going to do it now. I didn't go out and buy anything. I just used my phone. I balanced it on a shelf above my desk. And then my dad later built me a little wooden stand for it. He's been a great support of me and my channel, making me all sorts of bits and bobs for it, which has been lovely. But yeah, I just wanted to connect with more people and share the joy, and rather than just posting pictures, which feels very, I don't know, like performative. It feels very, what's the word I'm looking for? Like you're editing these pictures, you're only showing what you want to show on Instagram, whereas YouTube, I show everything. Like if I don't like a page, I wouldn't post it on Instagram, but if I didn't like a page, it's getting shown in the completed pages video. It's part of the journey. I feel like I'm more real as a colorist on YouTube than I was on Instagram.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And speaking of that, so one thing that I have noticed is that you typically don't post pictures of your completed
Hmm.
pages on Instagram. Tell me more about that.
I wasn't enjoying it. And it's as simple as that. And I think we all have our like social media energy quota. And some people put all that energy into Instagram. I know I used to, like constantly I was uploading and commenting and interacting with other people's posts as well. And as I built the YouTube channel, I realized I wanted to focus more of my time and effort onto the YouTube channel than the Instagram. And I had something weighing in the back of my mind of, oh, I've got these pictures. I need to post them. I need to post them. And then one day I was just like, no, I'm not going to post anymore. It's not bringing me any joy. And I felt like I was doing things twice over. And I was posting for the sake of posting, not because I wanted to post. Whereas on YouTube, I post because I want to post. And when you're doing something for a hobby, you don't want it to become a job. And it is a fine balance between that. I still love making the YouTube videos, and that is definitely not a job. I make them because I love them. Whereas posting on Instagram, it was becoming more of a job that, oh, I have to do this, and I've got to write a caption, and I've got to make sure I'm reading all the comments. And I was like, no, I'm refocusing my attention just solely on the YouTube channel.
I love that, and I agree. It is does sometimes feel like a little bit more of that, like, forced effort on Instagram, at least for me too, than it does on YouTube. I don't know why that is, but I can
Yeah,
definitely relate to that. So when you first started your YouTube channel, how did you come up with the name Coloring Bumblebee?
it. I just thought it was cute. Quite simple. I thought it was cute. I'll be honest, I was never much into like it wasn't my thing, whereas now it is most definitely my thing. It started with my bullet journal account. I had a Instagram account for bullet journaling called Bullet.bumblebee because I like the alliteration, and then it just evolved to changing to Colouring.bumblebee, where I made a new account for my colouring. Again, I just thought it was cute. I knew I didn't necessarily want my name to be a part of my channel name or like my Instagram name. I wanted, like, I'm free to say my name, obviously. I introduce all my videos with I'm Jess and I'll always tell people, but I just didn't want that attached to my social media presence. Like, if you watch it, you know, but if you're just looking and searching, you don't know necessarily. And I knew that whatever name I chose, I had to be aware that, okay, people will call me this, people will call me Bumblebee. I don't mind that. I think it's cute.
When did you first start doing live streams, Jess?
Oh, when was it? I think it was last summer. And it was something that like more and more people were doing live streams. I think one of the first I watched was Amy Wardart, loved hers, but I was rarely able to make it because she's in New Zealand, kind of opposite time zone to me pretty much. So that was, I think, the first live stream I found, and then I think it was Yolanda starting. She started a bit before me, and I was like, yeah, this looks really fun. And being friends with Zoe and her partner Steve, they live streamed regularly, and I just saw it as another way of interacting with the community and getting to know. And so I thought, to start with, I was like, live streams sound nice, but I wasn't sure it was going to be for me. Like the idea of colouring and talking at the same time seemed impossible. But I was like, let's give it a go. Let's just try it. And I tried it, and yeah, instantly obsessed. I remember finishing my first live stream and my cheeks were hurting because I was smiling so much during it. I just loved every second of it, and yeah, very quickly went to doing it twice a week, and now I've been doing it sort of, well, it varies. Sometimes once a week, sometimes twice, three times, four times a week. I, I would live stream every day, but I need to know my limits to not have too much of a good thing.
For those that don't know, do you want to just talk a little bit about your longer live streams and your themed live streams that you've been doing more recently?
Yeah, so that started because of the Colouring Tubeathon, which was a charity event in February hosted by Jo at Piggy Pens. She created this initiative with 24 hours of like continuous live streams from, I think it was 15, no, 16 different creators in the community. We each did I think it was an 80-minute time slot. And I just remember that day was so much fun. Like, having an entire day where there was someone at any point of the day colouring on a live stream. I was just like, this is amazing. And I was like, I could do this. I could do this myself. Let's give it a go. So, as part of my initiative to help raise some more money for the World Cancer Research Fund, I did a day long live stream to raise money for charity, and that went absolutely amazingly. And I thought, let's keep going. And I've always liked to challenge myself. As you said at the start, I colour an insane amount of pages. I recognise this. um, but what was the first one? I think the first one I did was the how many bookmarks can I colour in one day? My bookmark bonanza. Yeah. And then I did how many Camellia Angel cover pages I could do in one day. And just yesterday I did Lulu Mayo. And yeah, just the idea of spending an entire day colouring, because that's what I do normally. Um, that's how I spend my Sundays normally. So the only difference is I'm chatting almost constantly through it. And yeah, wake up the next day, feel great, voice a little bit sore, but other than that, I'm all good.
And you get a crazy amount of engagement on live streams too. I think when I was watching yesterday, at some point you had almost 90 something people. Does that make you feel nervous knowing that there was that many people watching?
It, no, in a weird way, no. Like it, I don't really pay much attention to the numbers. I'll be honest. Like it's amazing to see, and it always surprises me when I see like so many people there at one time. I'm just like, oh my gosh, thank you. But whether I've got 5 people in the room or 50 people in the room, like it's, I like the engagement. I always like to read every comment as much as I can that's sort of related to the stream. I try to read every comment, reply to it, and interact with it. And I don't know, it's just, I, I don't know, I don't, weirdly, I've never really got that. I was nervous for my first live stream and was shocked to see how many people joined, considering it was my first one. But the most nervous I've ever been was for the Tubeathon one. I was shaking, and I have never been like that, recording any video, doing any live stream, but I was shaking. I think I had just anxious energy about me because I was the third last streamer of the day. So I'd been watching all these other people, and I was in the chats and I was like, I'm just excited. When's it my turn? Like, come on, let's go, let's go. Then it got to my turn and I was like, oh, I'm so scared. I just felt all this pressure just building on me, and I was like, right, I've got to read the chat. And I was that's the only time I've not read all the comments of the chat because it was flying that day on everyone's stream, which was amazing. It was such a wonderful thing to be a part of.
Yeah, I remember the Tubathon as well, and it really was such a wonderful thing to be a part of. And I think she's planning on doing it again. And I'm like, do we have to wait
Yes.
all the way until next year?
Yeah,
I don't
yeah.
know if I can.
I know it was so much fun, and yeah, I said to Joe like, absolutely, I'm in every time.
So fun. Yeah. I mean, and she truly did such an amazing job organizing it. Um, yeah, I just can't believe how much fun
Absolutely,
it was. And like I said, I'm sad we have to wait because I just want to do it again. It was so fun to interact with people and just see everybody streaming. And what a
absolutely.
great idea. She has so
Yeah,
many good ideas.
I know, right?
So pivoting a little bit from live streams and back to just your regular videos, what are typically your favorite or have been your favorite in the past videos to film?
I always enjoy the monthly complete pages and plans videos. I think that's pretty universal amongst all of us colorists on
Hmm.
YouTube. We all love making them, we all love watching them. It's just fun to recap and plan for the next month as well. But I think the series I'm most proud of is my rank and rate. I loved that. It was something that when I first started colouring, I searched for. I searched for Johanna Basford books ranked or Kirby Rosanis books and Rita Berman, insert artist here ranked, because I just I've always been I love ranking things like and watching ranking videos. I just like hearing people's opinions. They may be the same as mine, they may be different, but sometimes it's fun watching them and being like, okay, my opinion's validated by that. I agree with what they're saying, or oh no, I feel something different. It just has always fascinated me and interested me. And something that I used to do with Zoe when I would get a new book, that's Zoe's Colourful Creations, we'd get a new book and we'd show each other our top five favourite pages. And that's always something I really enjoyed doing. And so I incorporated that into the ranking idea, ranking and then rating your five favourite pages. And yeah, absolutely loved it. And I loved that seeing other people do their own interpretations of it and seeing how some rankings were similar, some were completely different. Just a lot of fun. Yeah, definitely one of my most proud things I've done on my channel.
Yes, that is definitely a series that you should be proud of. I love it, and I can't believe I forgot to mention that at the beginning because I feel like you created this thing that many people have also gotten done, and so you're definitely known for the Rank and Rate series as well. I was actually watching your, is it Lom Art? Is that
Oh yeah,
the publisher?
yeah,
Yeah, I was watching that one this morning to kind of get an idea of what Stratton Peterson books I might want to get.
yeah,
And yeah, you just do an incredible job with those. What a great idea.
yeah. It's definitely something I will kind of return to each year with all books coming out. Your opinions change, like what's sparking your favourites and least like things do change subtly, and with new books that get released as well to add into the collections, I think it's a fun one to come back to.
Well, you already know what artist I'm probably going to request at some point when you get enough
Oh, what's
books. LAR's back. I need a rank and rate.
Oh yes, I also need to do Camilla Dorico because when I did the rank and rate, I only had two of them at the time, I think, whereas now I've got five. So that's definitely needed.
Yes, for sure. I would love to see that as well.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely room for just more. That's why it's such an incredible idea too, is because like you said, like you can do it again and opinions
Hmm.
change and things like that. So yeah, truly incredible idea. I really have enjoyed that series.
Yeah, and I equally as much loved seeing, as much as I love creating it, I also love seeing everyone else's interpretations of it and seeing how different they are. I think that's one of the most fun things about creating videos is seeing other people take on those ideas and do their own version. I'm sure you feel the same with the really fun tags that you've created. Just seeing other people do it, just it brings as much joy as it does coming up with the idea and creating the video yourself.
For sure. Yeah, and I mean, I was really nervous about the unpopular opinions one because I was like, oh, this might spark some controversy. What if I'm the drama that finally, because we don't have drama in the coloring community, I don't feel like, but I'm like, what if I start it? What if I am the
Yeah,
one? But people handled it really well, and I really enjoyed watching people's too. So, like you said, that's part of what makes it so fun is watching people recreate it and hearing different people's opinions.
absolutely. I mean, that tag was amazing and really kind of sparked a lot of conversations within the colouring community, which has been like slightly more negative ones because we could go on about the positive, but you can have negative opinions and still be kind about them. And I think even
Yes,
within my live streams, like I've been going even deeper, like real unpopular opinions, like the ones that might get some like people going, I'm not sure about that. But hey, it's unpopular for a reason.
exactly. Yes. And hey, look, I'm not hating on Neo Color twos. I just don't know how to use them yet. Okay. We're trying to become friends. It's all good.
Yes,
So,
exactly.
walk me through like, how you choose a page. So, you have a book. How do you decide on which book you want to color in? And then, how do you decide which page in that book? Is it just kind of like in the moment, how you're feeling?
Definitely in the moment. It's just based on vibes at the moment because I feel like sometimes you flip through books and you feel like you know the book really well, but when you're flipping through it in a video or just yourself normally, you're like, I feel like I've never seen this page before. and it just really jumps out to you. I'm very much a seasonal colorist, so much that I physically cannot color out the season. I've tried, I don't like it. So that often drives my decision making for pages. So like right now we're in summer, I'm more interested in the watery pages than I usually am, or underwater sea creatures. Whereas if I was flipping through the book, say in 4 months' time, I wouldn't even consider those pages. I'd turn them away immediately. So it's definitely based on seasons, based on mood, and based on just color ideas. Sometimes you look at a page and then suddenly you've got an idea like, oh, I want to make that thing purple, or I want to go for a sunset background, and that just gets you inspired. Sometimes all it takes is just one idea.
Yeah, that's a good point. I think a lot of times we're also inspired by things around us too. I know for me, sometimes I'll see something and then like I can almost kind of think of a page in my head of like, oh, this might be good. But along those lines, when you're looking at a blank page, what's the first thing you do? Do you like identify a light source, watch colors, or just kind of go for it?
I tend to think about a color palette to start with, whether that's me finding like a color palette resource from online or in one of my physical resources that I have, or a Johanna Stone color palette, or coming up with something myself, like say the page has got strawberries, I know it's going to have some red on there, so what goes nicely with red, and thinking about those kind of things. Often I'll see one element and I'll know how to color that element. Like say it's got a large water source, I will go, okay, let's start with the water, that's a big thing, and then think about colors that go with the blues that I use. I tend to use one main or large element of the page as like a jumping off point in terms of how I go about deciding how to color the rest of the page.
So speaking of water, you don't like to color water, right?
No, but it may not seem like it. I feel like I've colored a lot recently. It's just not my thing. I don't mind like the
Yeah.
water surface. I don't mind waves. I don't like underwater scenes where it's just all blue. It bores me. I like a fun like skies. I'm fine with because you can do blue skies, but you can also do pink and purple and sunset and orangey red. Whereas water, it's some shade of blue. It might be a more green blue, might be a more true blue, but it's just blue.
Is there
And
anything else you don't like to color as much as you don't like to color water?
I'm not a big steampunk fan or like anything like neutral toned. Is just a bit, although I do like colouring metals. I don't really make sense. I have things I don't like, and then I'm like, oh, but I do like this. But like realistic buildings, I think is another one that doesn't really excite me. I don't mind like a cutesy cottage, but a realistic geometric building, that doesn't do it for me either.
I think that that one probably is somewhat popular. I don't know.
Mm,
I just get the
yeah,
feeling that there's not a lot of people that enjoy coloring buildings, but who knows?
yeah. I think it's just because you look at buildings in real life and they're grey, beige, red brick. Like there's not much
Hmm.
going on, and so I think you've got to kind of change your mindset in a way to go, okay, right, this is a colouring page. It doesn't have to be real life. Like I can colour a building purple.
That's true. Yeah. Sometimes it can be hard to get out of that mindset, especially if it is a page that has like realistic elements. Do you tend to color things realistically, or have you kind of moved away from that a little bit and sometimes color outside of that?
I definitely lean more towards realistic. If I colour unrealistically, it's usually because I've already got a colour palette picked out, and like that is the kind of goal of the page to use this colour palette to colour unrealistically. I really struggle colouring leaves not green, or if it's an autumn page, not orange autumn colours. But if I've got a colour palette that has no greens in it, and I'm like, okay, now's my chance. It's got to be like a specific challenge I set myself in order to not colour realistically. I do occasionally. I like variety with my colouring. I think that's the biggest thing for me. I like my simple things, but I like my detailed things. Limited colour palettes and going crazy with colour. Yeah, I like variety.
Yeah, that makes sense. Speaking of color palettes, you mentioned a couple of resources that you use. Can you go over those a little bit more? So you mentioned Johanna Stone, and then do you have other resources that you use as well?
Yeah, I've got the book, the Practical Color Combinations book. I don't know who it's by, but it's a very old book that I'd seen on YouTube for ages. I really like that one because it's got 9 colors in the combination, which means you can kind of select some of them, but not all of them. But you've got a bigger color palette. 'Cause I think it's hard sometimes to just use 5 colors, which tend to be on a color palette, 5 or 6. So to have 9 is a nice larger option. I also use Joanna Stone. She's been very kind and gifted me the Master Color Palette Library and some other printed books from Amazon. I also bought my own one before we got talking together. I bought the pastel one, and I love using those because, yes, you got the 5 color combo palette, but you've also got the complementary colors underneath, which expands it to 10 colors pretty much. Just gives you a little bit more leeway of going, oh, I like the limited color palette, but I need just one more color. You can look at the complementary because I like limited palettes, but I don't let them restrict me unless I am purposefully restricting myself, which again, I contradict myself and not. Sometimes I do like to challenge and go, okay, I'm not using anything else other than these 5 colors. But say there's a tree, I'm gonna bring in a brown for the tree trunk. I can't color a tree trunk another color. I think I have maybe once ever, but again, limited color palette, and it was kind of more of a challenge to do that than kind of realistically. So yeah, recently I printed out the Master Color Palette Library from Joanna Stone, which is a big PDF resource. You pay one time, and you get all of these palettes included with that fee, and any updates you get up added to your account. And yeah, love those. Printed them out, and now I feel like I'm using them so much more.
Yeah, I love that. That's one resource that I've been looking into as well.
Mm.
So how do you handle like page paralysis? So kind of that feeling where you love a line art page so much that you're actually terrified to touch it or start it because you're terrified of ruining it.
Well, I think often I will just put it on the pile of pages I want to do, and then it just gets put to the bottom of the pile, and I do other things, and oh, look, the month's over, and I haven't started it. And yeah, I definitely am guilty of getting into that process of just, I like it so much, I don't know where to start, so I'm not going to start. But I think my way to actually get started, that's where buddy colors I find are very like important for me to get myself coloring those pages that I really want to color, but I just need that little bit of extra support, encouragement, someone checking in saying, "Look, I've started," and that gets me okay. I need to start now. And often when it comes to like coloring it, I'll think, okay, what's one element I know what to do? I always start with the things that come to mind first, because the more you look at the page, the more you color a page, the more you put colors on the page, I think the more ideas you get and the more ideas you generate, and you get a clearer idea of where you want the page to go. So say you start with the grass, I like starting with a big area first, whether it's a background or a large element of grass or a load of trees. Get that done, and then the rest seems a lot less overwhelming. I find that's really useful for me to actually get myself colouring in those pages that I do want to do but struggle to. And yeah, buddy colours always help.
That makes sense. And speaking of buddy colors, you have mentioned how much you love buddy colors. You also did a video
Mhm.
recently, like a color and chat video, talking about how you're addicted to buddy colors.
Yeah,
Tell me more about kind of your feelings around buddy colors and where you're at with them now.
I will never stop buddy colours. As much as I try and restrict myself, it's not going to happen because, as I was just talking about, they are so helpful for those more complicated, intricate, detailed pages that you really want to do. But I know deep down, if I don't have a buddy saying, let's do this together, let's like, sometimes it's even just helping pick a specific page, like having someone to say, here's 3 options, they're picking that one, and then you're like, okay, let's go. Because that's another issue that I find, like picking the page. Like you've got a book and you've got all these uncolored pages, and it's hard just picking one because you love them all. But having someone else to help you make that decision makes it a lot easier. But I'd say I'm addicted because I make a lot. I do a lot. And this month I tried to really pare back on that, and I've really enjoyed this month. I've been doing lots of different colouring that I wouldn't necessarily do if I hadn't reduced my buddy colours. I've got three plus all my projects and groups and whatnot, but like in terms of like individual colours, buddy colours, I got three this month, which is the fewest I've had for probably well over a year. I usually have 10 to 15. I think I've even some months done like 20 buddy colours. It's been crazy. And often they're pages I want to do anyway, but I think what I was struggling with is sometimes you can start a month and you're like, I really want to do this. Okay, plan a buddy color. And then when it gets to starting it, you get that page paralysis. So you don't know what to do. You don't feel inspired. It's suddenly gone. And you kind of color because you feel like you have to. And even though you wanted to begin with and you still want to, it's that kind of feeling like coloring's a job. And you don't want that to happen. Like if a buddy color ever says to me, I don't feel inspired by this page, I can't do it, no problem at all. We can plan something else in the future. We can just move on. Even just having the buddy plan to color a page helps me get inspired to start coloring. And I'm sure it's the same with everyone else. Like we're so hard on ourselves with not achieving things when you'd never even think of judging someone else for saying that. And I'm constantly reminding myself and reminding others that it's okay to not feel inspired by something and to cancel a plan, cancel a buddy color. It's not a reflection on them. It's just you. And you've got like this is our hobby. We've got to do what brings us joy at the end of the day.
I love that. And I love how you mentioned just the way that it can help you get started on a page. And I think that's something that's really helpful for beginners as well. Is
Oh,
sometimes I think we jump into coloring books that maybe feel really intimidating, like, oh, I saw it on someone's channel, it looks really cool. And then if you are more of a beginner, you get it and you're like, okay, now where do I start? And so that's such a helpful tip is maybe reach out for a buddy color.
yeah, absolutely. Like just even that helping of just picking a page to start with is so helpful. And then if you get stuck on the details, like not all coloring pages are simple to understand. Like some take some interpretation, but if you've got a buddy, you can take a picture and be like, "What is this?" and you can work it out together, and that's always so helpful.
That is really helpful. There's definitely been some times, even as recent as like this morning, when I'm like, what is this?
Yeah,
And I don't have a buddy to ask, but maybe just asking in general too would help. Because, yeah, there's sometimes when I'm just not sure what is what for sure.
yeah, and that's what I love about live streams as well. I'll be like, right, coloring a page. I find I just get on with it in a live stream, whereas I can sort of put it off and put it in a whip pile. Whereas on a live stream, I'm like, right, just got to keep coloring, keep going, and having like the live chat to bounce ideas off of is really helpful for me to go, what is this? Is it this? Is it that? And they go, it's this, and I'm like, oh yeah, it is. Like it seems so obvious when you when you like finally see it, but I think we can get really hyper focused into the details of the page because we're looking at it so up close. Whereas if someone's looking at it in a picture format or on a video, they've got the full view of it. And sometimes if you just take a step back and look at the whole picture, then details become more obvious. But because you're just hyper focused on that detail on the page as you're coloring it, you can't see it.
Yes, that's so true. And speaking of some of the chat that has happened in your live streams, you've mentioned a lot that you love polychromos. You've actually been very influential. I mean, I will give you the credit for convincing me to buy them because you do. The way that you love polychromos was inspiring me so much that I also wanted to get them. Tell me about why it you love polychromos so much specifically, and then you've also mentioned that you don't always use them the intended way or the right way. Tell me more about
Mm.
that as well.
Yeah, so I don't know why specifically, but I think it's one, the quality of them. I just think, in terms of all my other pencils that I have in my collection, the quality of the pencil barrel, how it feels in your hand, how it feels when you apply it on the page, it can't be beaten for me. And I think what really gets me wanting to use them so much is the finish. Whereas a Prismacolor finish is very I don't know. I'm really bad at putting it into words, but I don't like the finish of Prismacolors so much because they're so waxy. You get that really big sheen on it, whereas a polychromo, it has this beautiful, smooth, almost like photo-like finish, which that's a quality I really love about them. And I also love how long lasting they are. You know how much I use my polychromos, and I can get so much use out of it. I've still got polychromos in my set that are the original one, and it's not that I'm not using them, it's just they last that long. And I can go down until the pencils are about a centimetre big, or like half an inch, or whatever measurement you use. Um, I can get them really small, and I feel like I'm really using the price of them. Whereas other pencils, they just you use them on a large page or a large element on a page, and they're like half the pencil's gone. Whereas the polychrome seem to last and last and last. And yeah, I'll always go back to them. I think also the fact that they're more easily accessible in the UK, whereas I think for you in the US, Prismas are more accessible and they're cheaper, whereas it's the other way around here. Just depending on Prismas are what made in Mexico, I think, where Faber Castell's in Germany. Oh god, I shouldn't say countries. I don't know what I'm talking about, but it's more local over here, whereas prisons are more local over US. So
Yeah,
polychrome
that makes sense, and I
cheaper, and
think
you
you
can.
brought up a lot of good points, 'cause, so I love Prismacolors, so I'm definitely
Mhm.
on the Prisma side, but like you said, they are more accessible here, and I get what you're saying with kind of that waxy finish. You're
Mm,
right, it does kind of leave sort of that shinier, waxy finish, and I didn't think about cost-wise, like, yes, for me in the US, Prismas are cheaper, but polychromos last longer. So in the
yeah.
long run, I don't actually think Prismas are cheaper because I'm going through them way
Mm,
faster than I am the polychromos. So I like that you brought up that point. That was a good point. I didn't think about it that way before.
yeah. And to go on to your second question about how I don't necessarily use them in the correct way. People say you use prismas for smushing and mushing, and polychromos are for layering. I don't really layer. Sometimes it's very rare for me to add like more than 3 layers of pencil to a page. I tend to do two. I do a light layer to get the color placement down with the polychromos, and then I do a harder layer to not quite burnish it, but like to smooth it all out and improve the blends, and then I'm done. Like if it's a big background, I might do a third layer just to really smooth things out. But even if it's a small object, I might even just do one layer. So I always find it funny that people go, "Oh yeah, but you're a layerer." I'm not really actually. I color with polychromos the same way I color with all my pencils, and maybe that's why I've never just fallen in love with prisms. I think I just don't use them in the way they're intended to be used, and that's just what makes pencils so like person specific. Like what one colorist loves, another will hate, and it's not necessarily like a sort of something bad about the pencil itself. It's just we're different people and we like different things, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. And that's so interesting to hear that you basically just use your pencils the same across the board. Is that right?
Yeah, yeah. I don't change my technique up for different pencils at all, really, which I probably should, but I don't.
No, that's so interesting. I don't know that I mean, I've heard you talk before about how you don't use polychromos in the intended way. I'm using quotation
Mm,
marks, but I guess I didn't realize that that's what you meant. Is like you don't have to.
mm.
That would be way easier for my brain. I'm gonna have to try this now, Jess.
Yeah, yeah. I was going to say something else, and now it's completely gone from my
So we
mind.
talked a little bit about in the beginning when I introduced you about the number of pages that you complete
Mhm.
a month. So I feel like this is definitely something you're known for. How many pages, like what's the highest amount of pages you've completed in a month that you can remember?
Oh my God, let me get my journal. It's just next to me. I can reference. And I want to preface this that I haven't always coloured this much in a month. It's only been in the last year or so. But the most I've done in one month is 76, which I fully accept is crazy. And I always make it clear that I am someone who works part time. I do 3 mornings a week. So I colour every single day. Another thing people might have heard is that I've got a colouring streak where I have coloured at least one page a day for now over, oh gosh, 160 days. I haven't updated my thing, but it's been since the 26th of December. I've coloured at least one page a day. And I'm just challenging myself to see how far I can stretch it. Not every day is like a big pencil page that takes 10 hours to complete. Some days it's a quick Camellia Angel Cover just to say that I've finished a page in one day, or finishing off a page in small victories to say that I've done a page in that day. So the numbers aren't wholly sort of accurate as to how much I do colour, because not all of them are pencils. Some of them are just alcohol markers. Some of them are smaller pages. Some of them are huge pages. There's a big variety. Yeah, looking at my two journal spreads from this year and last year's journal, um, it sky it happened in May last year. So yeah, it's been about a year where the amount I coloured increased significantly, because I was colouring sort of between 20 and 30 pages a month, and then May it went up to 49. And I don't know how it happened, but it did. And I think it was changing jobs and having more time available to colour. Whereas before I would work full days and then I'd get home and I'd be too tired to colour. Whereas now I can colour in the afternoon/evening, which time is a big factor. And I have very few responsibilities in my life. I'm single, live at home with my parents still, and I don't have any kids or anything. So I've got a lot of free time and I use that time because I know it won't last. So I just colour. I don't even really recognize how much I've done until I do the counting up at the end of the month, because I record my completed pages and the total of the numbers, and then I add up the colour by numbers I do at the end. And every month I'm like, what? I got to 65. I got to over, like, that is insane. I genuinely can't believe it. And so when people comment and say, I don't understand how you get to that many pages, I'm like, me either. I just colour. It happens.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think you bring up a lot of good points though, because I was even thinking about a page that I had colored with my daughter for her birthday, just like one of the Morgan O'Brien freebies. And it was just an alcohol marker page, like straight alcohol marker coloring. And I'm like, do I even count this in my completed pages? I was like, you know what? I am going to, because it's still a
Yeah.
completed page, regardless of how long it took me or what medium I use. So I think you bring up a good point that when you're talking about your completed pages and your streak and all that, it's not like all pencil pages. You're not completing 76 pencil pages in a month.
Oh
It's a
no,
variety
absolutely
of
not.
mediums, a variety of difficulty, that kind of a thing. And I think that that's really important too. And so I think it's awesome. I love watching your completed pages videos because you have so many pages and you have that variety too.
Yeah, and that I would get really bored, I think, if I just did all pencil pages. I'd get really bored if I just did all alcohol marker pages, or all pages where I based and then shaded on. I like the variety. I like that I can knock pages out in an hour, or I can spend a bit longer and spend 4 hours on it, or even longer and spend 12 hours on like a double page spread. I enjoy that. So yeah, the numbers aren't fully representative, but I also put a lot of hours into it, which clearly contributes to the higher total.
Yeah, that makes sense. And as you brought up, coloring does take time. And then on top of that, filming videos, editing videos, and just managing a channel in general, or as you called it, coloring admin
Yeah.
tasks also takes time. So, how do you balance those activities with coloring? How do you decide, like, okay, today I'm going to do more admin related tasks versus coloring and vice versa?
Um, I don't know how. I'll wake up one day and I'll be like, okay, I want to film a video today. My dad's out, he's not home, so I don't really like filming when he's upstairs working, because I can hear him in the background and he can hear me and I don't like it. So I like to try and film on the days where he's gone out for work. And so I'll like take those days and I'll be like, right, got to do something this day. What am I going to do? And I've always got a list of video ideas, but I do it based on like my time and energy. If I don't have the energy to film, if I don't have the drive to film, I'm not going to force myself to film just for the sake of filming. I do like to try and upload every other day, every 3 days kind of thing, and space it out quite evenly. I was quite bad last year where I would do sort of 6 days without posting, and then I'd have daily uploads for a week, and then I wouldn't upload anything for like 4 days, and then it would be daily uploads. It's like just slow down. You can have some videos recorded in the bank that can go up at a later time. It doesn't have to be every day. Sometimes like you want to get things up on certain days, like you want to make sure that the whips of the weeks are on a Wednesday, or I try to do it earlier on in the week rather than later on in the week, or before a certain video that I'm planning to do. So I try to balance it that way. And when it comes to editing, I am a very minimal editor. I literally just clip out me moving the book into frame and out of frame. Well, I don't out of frame and then back into frame. I just clip that like 2 seconds out so you don't hear me chucking the book on the floor kind of thing or creaking the chair. That's all I do. I don't watch my videos the whole way through. So if you hear me say things that are wrong, that's because that's why, because I'm not watching them. I don't spend long editing. I just clip those bits out, or if I know that I had to restart a segment, then I'll clip that one out and yeah, try and edit out all of the just the little imperfections, but not anything that I'm chatting like. I just chat. I just chat and let the camera roll, and whatever I say, I say.
And you're not the only one. I do very minimal editing too. In fact, I don't even think I edit out myself chucking the book on the ground. Now that you
That's
say
fair
that, I'm
enough.
like, I'm sure you can hear that every time. I promise
I
I'm
mean,
nice to my books.
it doesn't bother people. Like, you watch people's videos and like, you're not going to judge them on the editing skill. We're here for the coloring. We're here for the pages. Yeah, yeah.
So
It
true.
doesn't
So
matter.
true.
It's just a me thing. I just like to do that. But if I'm say doing a just a book flip through, that's no editing. It's just putting my intro in, adding the music, and then exporting. Like those are so. There's some videos which are just so easy to film and upload. They take pretty much just the time they take to film plus maybe 5 minutes.
Yep. Yeah, for sure. And do you do all your editing on your phone?
Yeah, everything on my phone. I film, edit, upload all on my phone. I've considered upgrading to a camera and I thought, no, I like the fact that I can edit in my car, sort of thing. If I'm in between doing calls at work, I can edit lying down in bed if I feel like it. I don't have to be up at my desk. I like editing on the go.
I 100% agree. I do the exact same thing. I do all my filming and my editing on my phone. And I think if somebody is thinking about starting a channel, but they feel like they have to have like fancy equipment or something, this is a great example of you don't. All
No,
you need
yeah,
is a
absolutely
phone.
not. Yeah, I had nothing when I started. I just balanced my phone on a shelf, like, and zoomed in. And yeah, you don't have to put a single penny into your channel when starting up. You really don't. Um, Even the editing app I use VLLO on is an app, free app, but you can get a paid version, and I did end up getting the paid version, but not until I'd had my channel for over a year, where I was like, okay, yeah, clearly this is sticking. I'll pay for the upgraded version so I don't get ads, and it just you can add some more transition effects, like minor things, but yeah, you can do it all for free.
Yeah, you can. And I think those are such great tips because I love that you waited kind of a year. That's kind of how I was too. Like I used a free version to make sure it was something I actually wanted to do before just jumping in and buying like a paid version. But like you said, you could do everything on your phone, don't need any sort of fancy equipment. Um, Kind of shifting gears a little bit. So, we talked about this a little bit earlier. You shared your unpopular opinions video and talked about a supply that you felt like wasn't worth the money, along with some other opinions about the coloring community. What do you think is your most controversial coloring opinion, whether it was from the video or something else?
Oh, I think from the video, it was my opinions on color alongs and how, for me and for my channel, and also in general, I don't think they're as important or as um, desirable as people may think they are. I think color alongs are very, very niche because to watch a color along and follow a color along, especially if it's a silent one just to music, you've got to one, have the book, two, have the page uncolored, three, want to color that page, and four, want to follow it along. It's a lot of factors for someone to want to click on a color along and watch it. So that means that you get reduced amount of views. I also think there's a bit of an issue where we've got really big established colouring YouTubers who regularly do colour alongs. It makes it really hard for anyone new to get their foot in the door, and it is demoralising when you put a lot of effort into a video, because the colour alongs take a lot of effort. It's much longer to film a colour along than it is to just colour the page on your own. Especially if you're someone who puts the names and numbers on the screen, which I would never do that. That's just a step too far for me. But yeah, it takes a long time, and then to get 50 views, you're just like, well, what was the point? Like, it's not that you're driven by the numbers, but you want people to watch and enjoy what you're making. And for me, I just didn't enjoy making. I made a couple of color alongs that I posted onto my main channel before I started the memberships, and it didn't bring me joy. I'd rather color without having to worry about being in frame or the lighting being good or my hand not covering up what I'm coloring. I just don't want to have to think about that. I just want to color.
Yeah, lots of good points there. And I think I probably only followed like exactly one color along maybe. And I think
Mm,
that they're great for beginners or people, especially if you don't know the art style. But
absolutely, yeah,
I want to create my own version too. So I think
yeah.
a lot of times I utilize them in the way of just like, okay, this is how they mapped out the light source on that object or things like that. But I'm going to want to use my own colors and put my own kind of spin on it. You know what I mean?
I think the hardest thing is it's often the most requested video. If
Mhm.
anyone puts out like a call out for what videos do you want to see, 80% of it is always going to be, I want to see a color along in this book, that book, whatever book. And you put the time and effort into it, and then not as many people watch it. Like, I think one voice can seem really loud, but the people who are commenting on those, oh, what videos do you want to see, are the people that would watch any video on your channel. Whereas you want to more be appealing to the people that don't necessarily comment on theirs. So it's really hard to know what they want to see that appeals to everyone that's engaging with your content rather than just the ones that watch everything, regardless of what it is, if that makes sense.
Yeah, yeah, no, that definitely makes sense. Okay, Jess, I have one more kind of maybe tricky question for you, and then I have some fun ones. So bear
All
with
right.
me. Have you ever had to remove or report a comment on one of your YouTube videos?
Funnily enough, I had my first ever person on a live stream yesterday come in and say a very inappropriate comment. And it just completely took me off guard. It was in a weird font, when people can like copy and paste a font and it's not the regular one. And I couldn't really read it, so I went up and I was like, oh, nope, delete. And luckily, Zoe, my mod, was on there and she deleted it as I noticed it. And I was just like, oh my God. Like, I'd been streaming for almost a year at this point, and that was the first time ever I'd had someone come in and like spam it with something very inappropriate. And I was just like, well, you know what? I'm glad I made it this long, but what an achievement. In a
Wow,
way,
yeah,
like,
I must have missed that. But I'm glad Zoe was there.
oh God, yeah, I was just like, oh, I feel weird now. I was just like, I don't know how to move this along. It was, yeah, I'm not going to say it because it was horrible, but yeah, it
Yeah,
was
and I mean, you make a good point, like kind of having to move things along after that. Like, okay, we're not going to dwell on it. We're just going to move along. It's gone now.
exactly, yeah, like, yeah, moving on, right, what am I colouring? Let's go. But it's still like in the back of your brain, like, oh my God, that's really weird. Like, why, where do they get off just coming into someone's random stream and commenting? Like, bizarre, but yeah, some people,
Well, there's a first time for everything, but I also hope it doesn't happen again.
yeah, exactly.
Okay, Jess. Let's go to some lighter, funner questions. If you could design your dream coloring book, what would the theme be and who would illustrate it?
Oh my God. I'm constantly coming up with ideas or like brainstorming ideas of like new colouring book ideas from specific illustrators, like especially ones that have like a series, like the A Million series. Like, what's the next A Million book going to be from Lulu May, or the next 50 miniatures from Camellia, or Matchstick Mouse? I love doing that. But what's one book? Oh my gosh, I don't know. It's hard. I just want everything. my go-tos are seasonal books and fairy tale books. And yeah, but trying to think of one, I'm looking at my collection now. I'm just like, what's missing?
Those are
I
good
don't know.
themes. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that every artist out there needs to do a Four Seasons book, one that has like seasonal sections. I just feel like it's such a classic theme that every artist can interpretate like differently, can put their own spin on it. I think it's such a good theme, and the fact that you can pick that book up and no matter what time of year it is, you can find something that you feel inspired to color. But I don't know which artist. It's really
There's
hard.
so
Just
many, it's hard to choose.
yeah, and it's such an open question as well to just think,
It
what's
is.
one thing
Yep.
that you want? I'm like, I don't know, but I'm always excited to see everything new.
I will say Shell over at Shell's Coloring Journey mentioned the other day an RJ Hampson dinosaur book. I
Oh
was
yeah,
on for that. I was like, that would be so fun.
I've had an idea for an RJ book for a while, and it's within the Mr. Fogarty series. I'd love to see Mr. Fogarty in fairy tales. Specifically, I've got a picture like in my head of Mr. Fogarty with like a long wig on, sitting in Rapunzel's tower, like he is Rapunzel, and
I
he's like
love
the
that.
different characters in the fairy tales, like he's Red Riding Hood with the red cape, or he's Cinderella and he's lost his shoe. Like I think that's such a fun idea, and I'd love to see that from RJ. If you're listening,
Have you
RJ,
sent this to RJ? Because I think this is a fantastic idea.
I know it would be so good.
Okay, what is an artist that you would recommend for beginners?
Oh, another really hard question. Um, my my really boring answer is Johanna Basford, specifically Small Victories and Inklings. I think they are the best books out there for beginners because you get those smaller pages, easier wins, really clean, easy to interpret artwork. So that's my boring answer. But I'll pick something more like, I don't know, off the beaten track a little bit, because it's something that I've wanted to do a video on for a while, of like a artist that I recommend for beginners. And I'd say, hmm, I'm looking at my collection as I'm speaking. For beginners, I'd probably say Diane Dufour is a really good one because there's a great variety of pages, great variety of like animals. It's a good place to practice. They're a nice small size, and I think they're not too expensive, easy to get off Amazon. I think that's always an important quality for a book that I'd recommend for beginners as well. Like something that you can access easily. Like I don't want to recommend some Japanese or Korean book that is really expensive or hard to find. So yeah, I'd probably say I'm going to go Diane Defoe.
That's a really good answer. I don't know that I was expecting that one, but the more I think about it, the more I totally agree. I personally don't own any of her books, but as I've seen them on your channel and other people's channels, you're right. That probably is a really good artist for beginners. I like that.
Yeah, and the paper's really good as well, and I think that's a important thing to think about for beginners. That 'cause you don't want to say I recommend an Amazon book and they get frustrated because it's cheap rubbish paper. You want something that's actually going to work for them, and you can experiment with lots of different mediums and supplies and techniques. I think, yeah, Diane Defoe.
Good point. Yeah. What about supplies? What supply would you recommend for beginners?
Ooh, when I first started colouring, I used brute Venus squares, and that was pretty much all I used for about 6 months, maybe even like 8 months. And I would still recommend them because I stopped recommending them because they disappeared off Amazon, but you can still get them on AliExpress, Temu, things like that. And it is the same brand, but specifically the Brute Venus squares is what I have. I always recommend them because really affordable. I think when I got them, they were like 20 something pounds. I think getting something cheap but good quality, because I think there's a difference between cheap and budget. Like cheap is, you don't want to be fighting with your suppliers. Like I don't recommend Crayolas or something like that where it's hard to get the color payoff. Whereas Brute Squares, it's something that it's not a big money investment. to get started into it. You've got a really good range of colours. So yeah, I think I'd still recommend them because I've fallen back in love with them actually. I've started using them more and more this last month. So yeah, I'd recommend those to beginners.
I love that. And I've heard a couple other people recommend those too. I've personally never tried them, so maybe I need to. They sound
Mm,
like a good budget friendly pencil. They're pretty budget friendly, right?
yeah, yeah. I mean, I haven't looked recent, but yeah, sort of 20, 30 quid,
Awesome.
like for 120, pretty affordable. I would also, I haven't got them myself, but I think Woomers are great for the fact that their budget is maybe a little bit more expensive to start out with, but you can get them open stock. So I think that's something that now, as a colorist who's got more pencil sets, something that I prioritize is getting pencils that you can buy open stock, and they're the only budget pencil out there that you can get open stock, which makes them really unique. And I've heard they're great quality and recommended by a lot of people in the coloring community as well.
Yeah, I've heard that too. So those are two really good recommendations. Thank you. All right, Jess. If there's someone out there right now that's wanting to start coloring but isn't sure where to start, what would you tell them?
Just find a book, find get whatever set of pencils you can get your hands on. When I first started, I just happened to get in a store and find a Johanna Basfer book for £5, and away I went. I already had some cheap pencils at home. They did the job to get me settled into it. But honestly, just put colour on the page. Pick something that you like, but you're not too precious about. I think that's a good way to start as well. Something that's not too large and overwhelming, and just get colour in. Like, and don't compare yourself to others. Like, allow yourself to go through the journey of finding what supplies work for you, what techniques work for you, what techniques don't want for you, and don't be afraid to mess up a page. You can always turn the page over and just move on. That's what I say. Don't tear things out, just turn it over, move on.
I love that. Yes. Don't tear things out of your books, please.
No.
I promise you will regret it.
Yeah, it's all part of the journey.
Yes, of course. And I actually find that it's really fun to look back at like the
Oh
very
yeah,
first ones I ever
you're just like,
colored,
what
even
was I
though it's like
doing?
slightly embarrassing, it's also fun at the same time.
Yeah, you're just like, what was I thinking there? Like, why did I do that? But hey, it there you go. That's and or seeing like gradient blends, and I'm like, oh god, I could not blend back then, could I? But look at where I've come now. Like, it's nice to see.
Yes, yes. All right, Jess. Well, thank you so much for coming on the Beyond the Lines Coloring podcast. I've had so much fun. Is there anything else you want to share with people? Anything you have upcoming? And do you want to just let people know where to find you?
Yeah, I mean, I've always got videos in the pipeline. I've got a forever list of ideas of videos that I want to make. I think the next video I want to make is I've had the idea of doing um 10 books or 10 artists for beginners, and sort of having this conversation with you has re-sparked that idea. So that may be coming to the channel very soon. But yeah, you can find me on Instagram, even though I don't post there, but I'm always free to chat. If you ever DM me, if you ever have a question, it's coloring.bumblebee, whereas my YouTube channel is just Coloring.bumblebee, spelt with a U-R, because I'm English.
Awesome. Yes, spelled with the UR. All right, Jess. Well, thank you so much. This has been so fun. I would love to have you come back sometime. So just reach out to me if you ever want to come back and we will do something again. But I appreciate you so much. Like I cannot tell you how grateful I am to have you as my first guest. Oh my god. Um, it's just been so fun and such a pleasure and so different to get to talk to you back and forth for once. I know we talk to each other on live streams and stuff like that, but just being able to talk like we're on the phone has been um, honestly like so exciting for me. I have loved watching your videos since I very first started, and I'm like fangirling a little bit right now because I didn't think that I would ever get to this point where I would get to talk to you in this format. So thank you so much. Please know I am so grateful and I can't wait to possibly have you on again in the future.
You are really too kind, and thank you so much for having me as your first guest. And I'm always like I don't see myself as someone that's scary. I always ask and reach out to me. I'm always happy to help. I really am, like truly am. Um, and I think as part of the colouring community and one of the best things about it is we don't gatekeep. If you've been colouring for 5 years, 5 minutes, like 1 minute ago, like we still love and embrace you and welcome you in with open arms. And yeah, we don't gatekeep here.
So true. Yes, there's no gatekeeping, and everybody is such a joy to communicate with and chat with. And I have really enjoyed being part of the community, and you're a big part of that. So thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you as well.
Yep. Okay, Jess. Well, I hope you have a great rest of your day. I will see you soon.
Yes, you too.
Bye. Okay, everybody. Well, like I said, I know I've already said this multiple times. So, those people who call me out on YouTube for repeating myself, don't know what to tell you, but I just can't stress enough how grateful I am to have had Jess on the podcast. She was such a wonderful guest. I kind of just went at her with questions, and she had some amazing answers and some answers that I like, things I didn't know about her. And so I really enjoyed this interview, and I hope that you did too. Thank you, thank you, thank you so much, Jess, for being my first guest on the podcast. I wanted to quickly do a creator spotlight before we end today. So this episode's creator spotlight is Ashley at Seeking Out Sunshine. Now, I recently found Ashley's channel over on YouTube, and she has an Instagram as well. And she has some really fantastic completed pages. And one thing that stuck out to me, and I know that other people do this, but this really stuck out to me as a unique medium because she had a page that she had based with eyeshadow. And I've definitely heard of other people doing this, don't get me wrong, but the way that her page turned out just really stuck out to me. I thought this was so cool. And she also does monthly favorites videos, which I thought was really unique. And I don't know that I've seen that yet on a channel. So I just wanted to shout out to Ashley. Again, you can find her at Seeking Out Sunshine. And actually, earlier today, I was able to plan a buddy color with Ashley. So I'm super excited to get to know her better and as a person, and not just a creator, but also as a person. And yeah, it will be fun to see what we create as a buddy color this month. So that is this week's creator spotlight. And just real quickly, my favorites of the week. I'm gonna have to go with the mythographic Alice in Wonderland. I know you guys are probably sick of hearing about it, but I thought that was such a cool find at the time. And it really is like my favorite book that I've gotten in a while. And it's one that surprised me, and I think that's why it's my favorite, is because it wasn't one that was on my radar. It wasn't one I was pre-ordering or expecting or anything like that, but it's one that I got the opportunity to see in person, and that is what really convinced me, was seeing that book in person. So that is my favorite of the week. I will catch you guys next time on Beyond the Lines Coloring Podcast. Happy coloring, everybody. See you next time.